Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 2 between Waterloo University and New Hampshire. We saw game number 1 going over in a convincing 27 minutes to the Canadian Waterloo University over New Hampshire. So a little bit of NA smack coming down there. We'll see if America can rally and bring it back here. Return, what are your thoughts? What needs to happen in order for this to change?
For our boys in the States to really hit this one back home, you got to just find your style. I like how much aggression they were trying to play within the early game. Definitely one of the drawbacks there was they didn't have the most vision in the world to support it. Like, especially that time where you had the invade from triple backflip trying to find something on that bot side of the map, got caught out, and then everything just kind of snowballed off of that. If they're able to plan out these plays a little bit better, get that vision game down, and enable their players with some of these earlier game compositional picks, they can look to just take this game away early. Because that last game, they try to go toe-to-toe on the skilling match, and they just could not get it done.
Yeah, pretty harsh coming out through it all. So we'll see what they can do to tweak it up. It is a side change now. So, we had a smart draft theory coming out for the red side that was New Hampshire. Now they have the blue side, so they have some opportunities to shake things up here and just to, find the fine-tuning, because oftentimes it's one or two things, even little things, that can make a huge difference in a composition. Mm-hmm. And the very cerebral teams, the best ones out there, can pick that out pretty quickly. So we'll see if this remains a similar story, or if there's just the small tweaks that could be made by New Hampshire just to turn this one back over on its head and give us a full 3-game series.
Yeah, adaptations are going to have to be the name of the game at this point. The composition, the strategy you came up with first just didn't work. Hit him with something new. And in the first place, I want to see some of those changes are on that bottom side of the map. I want to see Shinzu move honestly a bit more aggressive. We saw there was the bans against the Varus, there was the bans, I don't think against any other of the earlier game ADCs, but I'd love to see just a little bit more priority put down onto him. Maybe get that Varus away in the early rotation, maybe pick up the, not quite Kog'Maw, that's definitely not the early game, but move over to the Callista as well. It's still something that's really high up there in the priority list, and you can still get a winning lane out of it. Because I'm really afraid here, if New Hampshire don't just win through the laning phase, they seem to just be beaten out in the late game macro and the scaling CS game. And even though that's not a thing you can change and fix right now, you can create a comp that ignores most of your weaknesses while really bringing out the strengths. And I think their willingness to fight and the priority of their jungler is that strength they have to just hit home on.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we saw it. We saw the right tools there. You're absolutely right. The glimpses of just where things could have gone right. And so it's certainly, the spirit is there. And I'd like to see, I think, the solo laners for New Hampshire pick up a little bit of the slack. We saw, Dioker have some moments on his ear that looked a little promising. I think for Volcanoes, this guy in particular maybe needs to lean away from the Ornn pick as much. We saw it didn't really have the same team fight presence as we hoped, because by the time he was in the team fighting stage, it was just all kind of a mess compositionally for his team from then on, just due to the scaling. And, Ornn is not a champion with too many counter picks. Running into a Scion is not necessarily the worst thing in the world for an Ornn. And so I feel like unless that champion is just something he's so totally comfortable on, it shouldn't be picked just for the merit of the fact that it's Ornn.
Yeah, the big thing with Ornn is that it's great because you can establish lane priority while still being a good late game tank. Good, not great. So if you're not going to be able to establish that priority in the lane yourself, why not just go into something like Maokai? Why not just go into something that's going to be that big late game tank you need? Otherwise, if you want to go aggressive, I'd love to see more of that. Maybe go with something like the Jace. Maybe go something even with a Kennen. Something like, or maybe Kennen's a little bit too crazy out there, but Camille, Gangplank, there's a lot of these other picks that can a lot more focus on your laning strength and less rely on just, okay, this champion pushes out the lane and we're all good there. So give more of your teammates and give more of your team members that ability to just carry out through this early game.
Yeah, and it's something that they certainly have the ability to do here on this blue side, right? Because they were so top lane heavy ban in their first game, in the first round of the draft, the first 3 bans. They got Gangplank out of there, they got Camille out of there, and then I believe their last ban was Nunu, I want to say. That sounds right. So two very potent top laners taken off the table. They could throw those bans out the window. You keep the Nunu, maybe, your blue side, so you don't actually have to ban the Nunu this time either. They could really just tweak out their entire ban strategy here to give themselves all the advantages in the world they wanted for the top lane, or, try to pick the Nunu if that's not going to be banned away by Waterloo.
I wouldn't put money on that one. I'm very certain, especially looking at Waterloo, that they're just going to ban that away. They've seen that they can just beat New Hampshire in the straight-up scaling game, and you don't really want to give them the weapon of mass destruction that is Nunu at the moment, so just keep that one out of there. I think would be the best right now coming out for New Hampshire would be keep those bans on the top side, make sure Shauner's not on a super comfortable champion, but maybe wait until those later rotations, wait until maybe second rotation even, once you get the second bans out of the way, to pick up that top laner, try to get him on a good matchup, and hope that Waterloo are going to keep that last pick for the mid lane counter. So maybe they can try to find themselves a great counter in lane, give him a little bit of priority, because when you just have almost that separation of skill where you're falling 20 CS behind consistently in every single lane, you gotta find somewhere else to get those advantages from.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looked like they might have had that with the kill scaling early on onto Annoy there. Or not Annoy, I'm sorry, Shinzu. And then they just weren't able to capitalize. It was kind of a fool me once, shame on me, or a shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me for Waterloo. And they didn't let themselves get fooled that second time. So I think, especially with the fact that, we can't just play the CS game because we're going to get outscaled. And they might have a harder time just going back to this same strategy of, okay, well, we're going to find one target and we're really going to just kind of ruin their day with jungle presence. A really big thing to turn to could be the neutral objectives. That's something that we saw largely ignored for the beginning of last game, and it wasn't really taken. I feel like so it was a first Mountain Drake, and that was really only picked up because there was very little else to do at the time that they'd made their nice little sweep through the bot lane that Waterloo had come through and just doled out the hurt in that bot lane. They said, okay, well, on our way back, we'll take this Mountain Dragon. And so thereabouts this time, a more aggressive Drake spawn, something infernal, or, just a little priority onto the Rift Herald, who we didn't even see, make a presence in last game, might be a nice little trick for New Hampshire to just get things back on track for them.
Without a doubt. And a big part of that was that they just didn't feel confident making those early moves towards those objectives. They had the skilling ADC, they had the skilling mid laner, and after you got triple backflip caught out on that first time in the jungle, he just didn't feel comfortable really trying to put a place forward, because if they had tried one of those and got caught out, it was just going to be a quicker scale. So next game, if they get those advantages, I'd really love to see them try to play around those neutral objectives. Because honestly, for Waterloo, I wouldn't be shocked to see them just go back to the scaling comp. They feel comfortable on it. They played a great defensive game, especially with BTM rallying the troops around the vision game as well. I think they should just go straight back to that one and see if they can hit that one home. So a quick update for all you guys at home. We are taking a little bit longer. Just want to fill you guys in. It does look like Shauner, the top laner. No, not Shauner. Sherb, the ADC, I believe, right? Support. Okay. So player for Waterloo. Support for Waterloo. Going to be having a little bit of disconnection issues. We'll be trying to get that one back in the moment. But in the meantime, we'll still be here entertaining you guys, giving you guys all the up-to-date information on this matchup.
It's a beautiful thing about collegiate, right, is that a lot of these players just play from their dorms, which I cannot imagine a fresher hell than trying to run down the dorm game. And so that's I give a lot of props to any player out there in the collegiate scene that is doing this. I think it's a big testament to just how much we all love this collegiate scene as a whole. I mean, the things we'll endure just to put our university's name on a good old game of League of Legends.
Oh yeah, it's the fantasy of walking home with the big trophy and all that kind of stuff. But speaking of the trophy, these guys are coming at us from that Eastern Conference. Let's look at that conference just a little bit more, because it hasn't always been seen as one of the biggest biggest conferences in the world, but there's still plenty of these big teams in here. First one that comes to mind has to be University of Toronto. Yeah,
very much so. These guys, Toronto really made collegiate history this last year. I believe it was over the summer, and they went to the International Collegiate Cup over in China. Not a lot of collegiate players followed the ICC. It was odd hours. It was on Chinese time, but
oh boy,
Toronto, yeah, I know. It was Toronto and Maryville representing NA, and there were colleges from EU and Japan and Korea and China, and it was a wonderful tournament, and it was really cool that Tencent took the time to put it all on. And then Toronto makes kind of one of the best showings we've seen any collegiate team ever had. You can ask, some of the figureheads of the collegiate esports scene, the Drake Porters of the world, if you will, and they'll tell you just straight up, this Toronto team over this last summer, the 2017 summer, was one of the fiercest collegiate League of Legends lineups we've ever seen. Now, there are going to be some changes coming into that, obviously, but this is a school with a great history and a large legacy to uphold, and I think that's about half the battle for them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I was also doing a little bit of work casting over for the Demacia Championship, the English broadcast of that. And yeah, I saw Bayou Technical College, I saw Haiku College of Economics, some of these other big college names over in the Chinese team as well. And yeah, they're pretty intense. Weren't quite ready to take on, I believe they played EDG and RNG, which were pretty rough matchups for any college team, no matter where you are in the world. But yeah, let's take a step back to Toronto, because that could potentially be, as Toronto's really been kind of the figurehead of the East for a little bit of time now. They lost quite a few members over this break. Like, let me pull out the list right now, but Eri, Engo, and JJ, all three of them went over to the FlyQuest Academy, which, I mean, is pretty impressive. It's great to see some big members getting pulled up to the competitive scene, but those are also some big names leaving the roster.
Yeah, very much so. And I think that's something that you got to be happy for, even if you're a big Toronto fan, even if you're a Toronto student or part of that team. That puts a very nice stamp on your school to say, hey, these guys are now semi-professional pro players. These guys are very much in the scene with a huge franchised organization like FlyQuest. That's only going to do your school favors in the long run, and only going to bolster your ability to recruit in the future. So it may seem in a short term like, oh no, this could be a little bit of a hit to us. We're losing all these great players, but what you're gaining in notoriety, if that school's willing to play their cards right, can be so much more valuable.
Yeah, most certainly. And honestly, this has to be such an exciting time to be around the collegiate scene, just because of how, especially with like franchising, you got a lot more people coming into the scene. You have a lot more room for this North American talent. So all these players, they don't have to compete with the same pros that have kind of been cycling through the system for so many years, and they're ready to take their own steps forward as well. Does look like we finally got our 10 men into the Champion Select lobby. We will be proceeding with that momentarily. But yeah, honestly, this has to be one. Oh, wait, JK.
So I've noticed this. They have Platoon here ready, and he's been hanging out in this game. I don't actually even know if they're subbing Inouye out, and they're just putting Platoon in just to kind of keep things fresh there. But they at least do have their sub on deck, and Platoon has not been dropping into that spectator role at all. So I've been waiting to talk about just what he's going to be doing until I know for sure. It's like talking about a champion while it's hovering. You just want to make sure it's locked in before you really get into it. Yeah. Okay, word for the top down. We are going to be totally abandoning this lobby, making a new one, and just starting over from scratch. So hopefully this will fix the problem pretty quickly.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for sticking with us here. But don't fret, we will always bring you all the up-to-date action and the hottest play-by-play of any Champion Select lobby out there in existence. You can always count on CSL for that.
Absolutely. So while we do remake this one, we were on a pretty nice run just talking about Toronto. And I want to throw out a little bit more to my point about just the notoriety for the school. I just want to layer this on just a little bit heavily, and then we'll steer the topic away, and I'll stop boring you guys to death with this. But that was actually a big calling card of Robert Morris University, who they're in a bit of a rebuilding year themselves after losing a lot of staff and players. But I believe it was 3 players, and I'm going to have trouble naming them all off the top of my head, but they had 3 players go from just their RMU collegiate competitive roster right into actual pro play. And the biggest one, I believe, was Adrian Ma, now NA Support All-Star. So that I know for sure helped a lot of their recruiting process and helping them to kind of build and maintain this powerful roster. And this most recent year, actually, they I believe Shady, who joined P1 about halfway through the summer split, if that sounds correct, maybe spring split. I believe it's spring actually. So it's certainly that we're getting this mindset that there are schools now that you can go to become a pro player, and that's the end of this all as we get into Champion Select. Now we'll put a bow on that and talk about the game in front of us because we're finally here, returned.
Thank you guys for listening to our impromptu episode of The Quad. Make sure you guys catch out all of our shows over on Friday. As Feeks also just had a great episode of Ward Up where we actually talked to Drake Porter, so make sure you guys watch that as well. But we are back to the game finally. First ban, they don't want to see that Kog'Maw anytime soon.
Yeah, not too surprisingly, they do take it away. What they do fail to realize that we did touch on earlier, it is no longer Annoy, it is Platoon. They are subbing somebody else in, so this could be actually a little bit of a problem. Is we don't even know if Platoon plays Kog'Maw.
Well, we'll have to check out. I mean, the Waterloo roster seems pretty deep as well. They got some subs in there that they're ready to bring in. Get Annoy that break he very well deserves. He had a great performance in that last matchup. Get him the juice box is all that he needs. It looks like a Gangplank will be the next few bans, along with the brand. I mean, we were talking about some early game aggression, but dang, that would be very, very much early game aggression.
Yeah, we saw it banned in the last chapter, last game here for Waterloo. They didn't want to go up against it then. They certainly don't want to go up against it now. So this is actually the same bans that they've run through. The only deviation in this entire ban phase is that they have elected now to ban the Kog'Maw over, I believe it was Keneal that they took away from Shauner. So they're definitely leaving that one on the table this time around, and I'll be curious to see if Shauner's going to pick it up, or with now Kog'Maw off the table, it's going to be an AD priority to get Platoon into a comfort space.
Yeah, here's the thing I just noticed. That's going to be a blue side ban on the Nunu, so that's showing that New Hampshire, they're not comfortable playing this pick. They're going to spend a ban on it, freeing up Waterloo to ban away that Zoe. So a little bit curious right there. You would have to think if any team could get their hands on Nunu, they would absolutely love to, but they're not going to get it this time.
Yeah, and Sejuani, kind of an ain't broke, don't fix it. We're just going to run that right back in with the same jungler that BTM found so much success on the last time. So we'll be looking for, possibly if he's trying to improve it, just a bit more presence in the early game. But even if not, those wards and the ward control and the visions that he was setting up for his team, certainly going to be every bit as impactful this game around. Can he live up to the same standard? So nothing changed for the side of Waterloo just yet.
Yeah, Waterloo going also to the Lulu as well, really showing that they want to play this hyper carry composition. I expect that to be their last pick of this rotation. Don't think it's going to be the Vayne, as that was nerfed pretty heavily along with the Relic Shield nerfs as well. Oh, I'm not a huge fan of this one, but boy, things just got spicy. Yeah,
so triple backflip with the Shyvana there. Says, look, I didn't find the success I wanted on the Jarvan, so I'm just going to change this one right on over. And maybe try to just deal with Sejuani a little bit better. Maybe have a little bit more at his disposal there when it comes to some of those objectives. And it's a misfortune takeaway now. They're going to pick that one up. That was actually a ban in the second round for the side of Waterloo. So they didn't want to see that champion last game. They're going to have to deal with it now. Fun fact: they also banned Varus in that second round. That was their other AD focused ban. So they may have this one pretty well prepared for Platoon.
Yeah, they want to make sure they got as much damage as possible. And when you already have the Kog'Maw knocked out, Vayne not quite in the meta at the moment because of those Relic nerfs and the direct Vayne nerfs as well. Varus is definitely not a bad pick to fall back on. But here I want to talk a bit more about the Shyvana pick especially. Because this is one of those picks, and trust me, anyone who's ever watched LS definitely knows this man's opinion on it. But overall, it's a pick that really needs the team to do well because you don't do too much in the early game. And it's one of those really hard farming picks. And honestly, this might be a bit of a counter towards that scaling composition for the side of Waterloo, as if BTM's not going to be able to get in there, not going to be able to shut down triple backflip, that could be what tips the balance is just a little bit more in their favor. But keep an eye on that one, because if triple backflip gets behind early, he might not come back this game.
Yeah, and we saw a very strong, aggressive start to triple backflip last time around, but on a different champion, a champion such as Shyvana, there are no guarantees there. So to recap the bans we just saw from the second phase, it is mid lane focused again for the side of New Hampshire. They do not want to see any mid lane threats. This time it is the Azir and the Orianna that they're taking off the table. Braum taken away and Malzahar, strangely enough, from New Hampshire. And they just, the Braum probably caused some problems. Was a good defensive run from Breadsticks. Not going to be here this time. And Malzahar, I don't actually know where that one's coming from. It seems a little bit out of left field, but maybe they have something in mind for their last pick. Scion, though, nothing going to change.
This is going to be interesting very much. Because, I mean, you need the winning lanes to really perpetuate Shyvana, let her farm on through. And I mean, with Fortune Zyra, that's probably a winning lane down there, is they're going to have so much damage to boot. And Xerath as well would make for a very well-rounded out shoving composition. Maybe not well-rounded out's the best word, but definitely adds a lot to that early game priority potential.
I think it's rounded out to a certain extent. There's a lot of blood that this team can draw, right? And under the right set of circumstances, I feel like with Maokai and Shyvana, Volcanoes and Backflip can really provide a very solid front line. And then it's going to put a lot of... hello, Ziggs. He was banned out last game. Will not be banned out this game. He is here, ready to go. And I wonder how much the side of New Hampshire are going to come to regret that decision, because they did opt to ban out the Orianna. The Azir didn't want to see that. Now they had the Ziggs. It was something else that they were a little concerned about, and Foxloo played a pretty daggum good game on that Orianna, but Ziggs is going to give him a little bit more tools at his disposal, particularly damaged ones, to shove this out early.
I mean, game one was the classic. Everyone go to 90 minutes. Eventually, someone's got to win the game. Didn't quite work out that way, but that's how they drafted. This game...
a third of the way there.
So close. But this game, things are going to happen, and things are going to happen early. There's a lot of room now for the side of Waterloo to start to fight back early, but when I'm just looking at straight up early game potential, it's got to be this New Hampshire squad. This bot lane is absolutely insane. Mid lane is still a pretty good shoving Xerath into Ziggs. Could be a lot more skill-based matchup, depends on how many bombs Foxloo hits. And on top lane, theoretically, if Volcanoes takes the mini dematerializer, he might just be able to shove out Scion. So honestly, this could be the lanes New Hampshire need. Now the question is, can they execute on this? Because when you look at that bot lane in particular, MF Zyra, yeah, it can do damage, but it can also die in a heartbeat. Yeah,
and they need a lot of protection just to be safe. I worry that with the double teleport early that Shauna and Foxloo are going to be having together, they may look to kind of take a page actually out of New Hampshire's book, goose the bot lane pretty early on with just a lot of pressure, and create a good many headaches, because if Maokai can't get down there in time with his own teleport, it's going to be a bad day for Shinzu and Breadsticks at the first sight of another enemy champion.
Yeah, that's one of those lanes where if it gets ahead, it's going to stay very far ahead, but if it falls behind, it's just going to like crumble. The Zyra might catch on fire. She's got Ignite, might burn herself to the ground. I definitely have to see how that went.
Is it a dry season?
A little bit of a dry season, entirely possible. Waterloo trying to just put out that fire, just put him away. Bad times coming out left and right. But yeah, scaling advantage, I'd still have to put it to Waterloo. And with the way that they played that last game, they're very capable of not only playing the defensive game, but playing it very well and having this idea of graciously losing. Where they didn't even lose last game. They were in some of these very bad matchups for them, but they still got CS advantage after CS advantage. And in this matchup, I believe in them. I have faith that they're going to be able to farm this one out as well, get to that mid-game point they want to, let Ziggs get some items, and most importantly, let Platoon start picking up as well. But that's also the big question mark of this game. We've seen ADCs coming out for Waterloo, but we haven't seen Platoon just yet.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what this guy does. I want to cycle back really quickly to the mention of the scaling comp. They definitely have the scaling as well here. But they won their scaling comp pretty handily without needing to scale too terribly much last game. They also had a scaling comp. They didn't get to the point of full scaling, at least in the late game. I think they still won only around it was less than 50k gold total, I believe. I think it was 47 or so, 48, if my memory serves correctly. And so that's not that point where you just feel like your entire scaling comp is popping off. So to have a scaling comp here and to be able to execute it on it under a different set of circumstances that are not necessarily scaling is really one of the marks of a good team. And so to have that same threat here in this composition, I really think does add a lot. The good news is that there's so much that the side of New Hampshire can do early And it's just a matter of how now they respond to this platoon curveball, because I do not think any of us were expecting that.
No, definitely not. And if I kind of have to like melt these two competitions down to exactly what are the carry points on each team, I think if New Hampshire are able to get triple backflip to that point where he starts becoming that actual threat, he gets farmed up and he's ready to go out and just punch absolutely everyone he sees, then New Hampshire are going to be in a very good spot. But if Waterloo, especially Platoon, can get to that point where he's ready to just mow through absolutely everyone he meets and becomes the kind of fantasy of that mid to late game Varus with the Rage Blade, with everything he could possibly ever need, there's not too much what New Hampshire's going to be able to do at that point. They need to win this one pretty dang early.
Yeah, definitely a lot of pressure, especially the way the last game turned out for them, on their shoulders at this point. And so they know it. You don't get to a level of competitive collegiate law without being able to handle pressure. And so now it's only a matter of how both these teams are going to do it. And wouldn't you know it, Platoon with the connection spike. It looks like he did just reconnect. So this is not a long-lasting pause like we may have had in the pregame lobby, but you never know.
Yeah, also, new high score. We have 8. We have 8 of the stopwatches here in the League of Stopwatches. We're going to get also the quick resume in. And honestly, I feel like these are going to be a lot more impactful now that we have these lanes that want to get into these early skirmishes. The mid lane especially, the bot lane most certainly on the side, especially for Waterloo, who's up against the Zyra plus Misfortune, try to weather out the storm on some of those picks. But yeah, I think we finished the match with like half of the stopwatches on the side for Waterloo still being up.
And it's something that you don't really want to buy unless you're at least prepared to use. And I feel like Waterloo had a few instances where they definitely could have used it. It was only Foxloo, I think I saw, pop that stopwatch. Plenty of others may have done it, but...
The classic Oriana walking into mid lane, randomly it's a stopwatch. Very well executed play, of course.
Yeah, of course. Just very cerebral, right? On top of the game. Knew exactly what they were doing. It's mental warfare. So we'll see this time around whether or not, they can make a better use of that, because stopwatch, obviously, a very potent item to have, and a lot of nice insurance there, but not the kind of thing you want to routinely buy if, you take a look at your statistics and, oh, guess what? I've never used this.
Yeah, that's not the best stat in the world to be looking at. And looking down towards the bottom lane, is we've definitely been seeing a huge change in not only what ADCs are being picked, but what they build as well. We're going to get the longsword start out of Shinzu, so probably going for that very early lethality, meaning that the bar to entry for this team fight is going to get even lower and lower for New Hampshire. And they seem like they're a team that loves to get in these skirmishes, get in these fights, and if they can find the plays without relying on triple backflip, they still have a lot of priority and potential to actually win out this game.
Yeah, a composition like this.
Those are some interesting moves coming out from triple backflip. He might be going for the invade.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it's something that he wants to do there, and has the clearance, so probably figured out pretty early on what BTM was trying to do, and had a really good read on it. I really do have to commend the preparation that's coming in from New Hampshire. They had a really smart draft in game one, even if the execution didn't go their way. And they're playing very intelligently on the beginning portions of this game that suggests these guys are really doing their homework, which is definitely what you want from a collegiate player. But can't play well unless you do your homework. But doing their in-game homework, too, is a great hallmark and shows a lot of promise for a team. So can they turn this into more advantages? Because they had trouble with the execution, but we know that foundation's there, and BTM's just now finding out. He's just now peeking it.
Yeah, triple backflip, playing a little bit of 40 chest right there. Ooh, a little bit of Tring on the bot side as well.
Just taking a little bit on the chin. Shinzu feeling a little bit better about this one. So the trades are going to come out, and they're going to be pretty favored for Shinzu early on with the Zyra, unless Sherd can just really hit everything going on there. And keep Breadsticks kind of on the back foot. But it's going to be the CS that's the story that I'm so focused on, because that was really where Inouye in the last game was able to, despite his death, really stretch out an advantage. And now Platoon, he maybe a little bit safer of a player, has to be kind of on that Varus.
Even so, we have a lot of damage going back and forth onto Breadsticks as well. I mean, Lulu's someone who's known for being that very safe, very defensive pick. But 99, I remember a time where Lulu was the assassin in the bot lane, take the Thunderlord's decree, and just look to one-shot people as well. So you still got to be careful because Breadsticks, if he goes down, that takes a lot of the wins out of the sales for this New Hampshire bot lane.
Yeah, either of these supports are so critical for propping up their ADs in this instance because Shinzu and Platoon would not be in a position to do thing against the other two members of the opposing team. Half lane is not going to be. It's not like an Ezreal where he can still maybe get in with the CS and get out with his E just to. This is Varus. This is Misfortune. They have to be careful about the way that they play this, and so Sherb and Breadsticks are the keys to victory in this bot lane, and going to be very desirable targets for any potential ganks or potential trades therein.
Also updates across the map real quick. Volcanoes has not actually taken the mini dematerializer, so he's definitely having a hard time keeping up in the shoving power. Sean are most likely not going to allow him to back. But also look at that bot side. That was such an early back because of how low Breadsticks has gotten. MF was able to go back, was able to get the Serrated Dirk, and now has a little bit of lethality as well. But that CS game still is pretty Waterloo favorite, even if it does get evened out under this tower here. That's still not a great number to see, and they've got to do a lot more to really push that advantage as far as they can.
And the item buy of the crystal too onto Breadsticks tells me that there's a little bit of fear coming in, or at least a healthy respect for the damage that Sherb and Platoon are able to just keep poking out. To have that extra survivability in lane really does, I feel, signal to the side of Waterloo, hey, we're a little bit scared of your damage here.
Yeah, without a doubt. Check out that vision game once again for BTM. He's got a line that basically goes straight down to that bottom half of the map. So yeah, gonna be playing quite aggressive, making sure that they can track triple backflip across this one. But also another thing we didn't see last game was BTM doing any really aggressive moves in the early game. He was basically solely on defensive duty. Is he gonna be able to go out and actually stop triple backflip from making these advantages happen?
The question really is, to what degree does he need to be ready to do that? He should absolutely be ready, but triple backflip has not made a showing yet in these first 6 minutes. That's really the aggression that he had with that Jarvan pick. So just running around, obviously, no, there's a great invade, so we do count that as aggression. But I'm talking just in the lane sense, just in the sense of what else is he pressuring on these actual other 4 players. Sure, my man. Holy cow, no way!
Oh,
he gets it down first blood. That's insane. That is insane. He didn't expect that. I don't think anybody expected that.
Oh, here comes the Scion.
That's bad. That's a lesson learned. The ultimate in unstoppable. He will flash in for it. Breadsticks with the hourglass. I'm sorry, the stopwatch will be ready to hold on there. And that is just a botched attempt at salvaging anything from this. Shauner has to spend the teleport, has to spend the ultimate, doesn't have his flash, so really expended a lot of resources for him at all.
Sure, definitely not feeling too confident against the Zyra matchup as well. Zyra someone who has so much base damage early, you need to be extremely careful. And that was Sherb misreading and maybe even not even seeing that last plant in the bush, because he very easily could have just walked on out, but he walked back in, got hit with one too many plant auto attacks, and went down just like that. Very unfortunate for that lane, and that's going to start the game off with a first blood for the Zyra. That is devastating.
Yeah, she did have to use her stopwatch there, so that will be off the table at this point. We do see a much further early game burn, but that's a trade that any support will take day in, day out, because that's going to be so much more potential power to come in and really start to bully this lane out. And probably a little bit of a boat rocker for sure there. Obviously knowing too when something like that messes up, and when you have such a clear corrective path to think, oh man, here's what I should have done instead. Why did I walk back in? That's a lot of the mental power that Breadsticks is now going to hold over Sherb. And see now if we don't get a little bit more jungle pressure in this lane coming out from the side of Waterloo here, just because of the degree to which now it seems to be favoring.
Oh, without a doubt. And now, look, BTM, he hit level 6 on this bottom side of the jungle. Doesn't have to worry about anything top. And he could just be looking for Breadsticks. Oh, Platoon!
Ooh, yeah, Breadsticks is going, but it's Platoon that actually takes the majority of the damage. Really, really nice timing by Shinzu. Sure gets onto Breadsticks, and they do take that one away. And Shinzu was not there to back up Breadsticks the same way that Breadsticks back up Shinzu. So a nice takeaway. They do get the point back on the board. Is taken down. Kill goes over now to Sherb, so it is both supports maintaining the kill pressure here.
Yeah, Breadsticks give it. Breadsticks take it away, but here comes BTM.
Yeah, they do just want to put so much power. It does force the flash. Shinzu going to be low. The stun up will happen here, but is there enough follow-up damage without Platoon? And the answer is no. So they'll take away a really good flash from the very immobile Misfortune, but that seems to be the end of it for this bot lane, and I expect things to reset to a nice breath on it.
I mean, I feel like I've seen this script somewhere before, but now that both summoner spells are gone from every single member of that bot lane duo from New Hampshire, aside from Breadsticks Ignite, I wouldn't be shocked to see BTM just come on back to that bottom lane. Looks like Foxloo is doing pretty well for himself in the mid lane. Top lane Shauner's definitely got the pushing advantage, if not the CS advantage as well. He's got a lot of just ability to play through wherever he wants.
We saw a lot come out from Shauner to try to take on that bottom lane when he went for that initial kill on the Breadsticks that he unfortunately didn't get. But then upon returning to the top lane, he just started to give Volcanoes all kinds of problems and shows no signs of stopping there. Doesn't have his teleport for a return back, but it's going to be the walking game either way, and it should be back to just him pressuring and winning these micro trades. That's going to keep Volcanoes on the back foot long term. He's not even worried about it. Shauner's actually walking like he's going to go towards the bot lane because it just seems to be where the focus of all these fights are. And with all the red pings coming down and Foxloo and BTM ready to make this happen.
He needs to walk when he can run.
That is going to be the Chain of Corruption coming down. Breadsticks are going to be taken low. They do throw out the rapid growth, but it's not going to be enough. Shauner takes that one down, and he will find the kill for himself this time around. Big turnaround. Shinzu's going to be in trouble. It does come the stopwatch, but I don't think it's going to do anything more than buy a couple seconds.
Ooh.
They get a kill on a Platoon. Nice stopwatch return. They get something. Oh, the fancy feat doesn't happen. No, Dioker takes the kill. And maybe in trouble himself now as BTM is in there and ready to go. Rift Herald taken down. That's where triple backflip's been this entire time, but we'll see if it's worth it. Yes. Dioker gets out, the TP's coming down. It's going to be Volcanoes, but he's all alone. He's polymorph. He finds 3, but he's stunned up himself, and this spells disaster. Does have a tower to get to, but it's a long, long run away, and the flash is burned. Can he find it? BTM says we're going to make this happen anyway. Foxloo says, don't worry. This is a day of 3-pointers, and I'm going to get mine in there from downtown. And the fight's not over yet. Breadsticks wants Shauner. Will he get it or bite off a little bit more than he can chew? Shauner going to go down. Breadsticks and Shinzu here. Foxloo could be in trouble. That's going to take that one away. And the dust settles 4 for 4, and gold only 100 apart in what is a bloodbath. But keep an eye on the top lane. This is what's making such a big difference. The Rift Herald's put down, triple backflip is there, the tower is gone. While the jungler, absent from the side of New Hampshire, did pull off a very big... Wow.
Yeah, without a doubt, we have to take a second to just decompress absolutely everything that just happened there. I mean, we were complaining a little bit before about last game, how it was just going too slow, they didn't make enough plays, and the stopwatches never even got burned. Well, 12 minutes into game number 2, and they have already fixed all of those issues. And boy, that was a very aggressive dive from absolutely everyone involved. But big thing I want to point out here, check out Shinzu. Didn't look like he had the best fight in the world, but look at those kills. 2, 1, and 2. He's able to finish the Ghost Blade, pick up another Serrated Dirk, and even look like he is that much closer to the Ghost Blade of Drakthar. He's about ready to pop off.
Position he wants to be in. It's a nice kill distribution on the side of Waterloo here. They've got kind of one in everybody's pocket except for BTM's, but it's more of a focused distribution, and it's only to the tune of 1 kill for Shinzu here. But that could and very likely will make all the difference in the world come this team fight. It's going to be a kill not on Volcanoes, but now Shinzu has it, and I think that's the right deviation. I think that's the right combination of what you want when it comes time to start these fights. Especially, you know, we've seen a very prickly Breadsticks ready to just back his carry to the grave. We've seen Volcanoes ready to get in there and provide a solid front line. So I think they have some parts that are going to be very much working in their favor here.
Volcanoes maybe just a little bit too ambitious to go in there and be the front line, because That TP during the fight, I'm not really sure what he was TPing to. Maybe he thought like he was in the jungle, so there were gonna be other trees there. He was gonna have his friends.
Big old question mark of a teleport.
Fortunately, didn't quite follow through, but still pretty good gains from the rest of the squad. And yeah, here's the point I want to really get to is that Shinzu isn't really. Let me check the score right here. It's only 200 gold ahead of Plateau, but the big part with that is the lethality build is just so much cheaper. Has already completed that first item, nearly done with that second item, while Plateau is still not on that first item, has not completed that rage blade just yet. So it's still that much harder for him to participate in these fights. And these next few minutes here might be very crucial for getting New Hampshire over that early game hump and potentially propel on forward. And triple backflip, you can't forget him as well. He has been hard at work on that farming game.
Kidding. It was around the 16 to 18 minute mark that in the last game, things just blew wide open, and it really started to look like the Waterloo story, featuring side characters New Hampshire. But this time around, they're very much playing an even game. They're not falling behind in CS deficits as much. It's really only the mid lane where you have that CS story where Foxloo's been able to farm. Ooh, Chain of Corruption coming down. That's going to be a huge damage turnaround, though, as they do get Sure quite low. BTM is here, Shauner as well. They're going to try to find Breadsticks. He flashes out. Might get himself out of that one with some fancy feet, but will get knocked up, locked up, and killed for the final part. And now it is going to be triple backflip trying to salvage what he can. Platoon does go down. Breadsticks does find that one out, and Shinzu's trying to get him here. Sure might be low, but triple backflip as well. Going to have to pop that stopwatch very low. Shinzu, can you salvage this? Or are you only in trouble? Dioker is here to try to help this one out, but Shauner finds the kill onto backflip. It is not going to be Foxloo's ultimate finding anything else, and so it is a 2-1 takeaway so far. Maybe not over yet, as Shinzu is still ready to be aggressive. Lulu shields at a critical time, and Dioker, without the spell cooldowns to make the rest happen, does look like it will be favored toward Waterloo, with a nice consolation prize coming out. New Hampshire did get a kill.
What initially was a very aggressive play coming out for New Hampshire turns around on them completely. And that's just because of not only the warning going on so they know when the play is happening just a little bit sooner, but also the double TP meta. You saw Shauner teleport directly onto that backline, really break apart the ranks of the New Hampshire squad. And maybe it's just going to need that little bit of extra preparation work before these fights really come in favor for New Hampshire. But I believe off this back, Shinzu should have the Ghost Blade completed. Oh, might just be a little bit off.
Yeah, a couple gold pieces short on that one, but not the end of his day. Sitting at about 350 left in the tank, so we'll see what else he can...
He's hanging around this bot side. He's maybe looking for a cheeky knockup, but doesn't look like he's going to find pledges yet.
He dropped a ward in there that almost could have blown his cover, but yeah, this is actually going to be very helpful if Breadsticks tries to get 2-buck on this.
Maybe looking to do a little bit of whacking.
Patience right here, and BTM coming in as well could mean very big amounts of trouble if they do decide to get aggressive. They have the dive potential between Sejuani and Sion. Shauner and BTM are both possibly ready to pick that one up. It's only a matter of pushing this wave. We'll see what happens.
But check out this top side of the map. They have no one up there, no TPs available. So if New Hampshire want to make a response play, which it looks like they're picking for right now, they could, but here's Engage.
Yeah, BTM's here, forces the flash out of Shinzu. Breadsticks, not quite sure of the circumstances he's in, tries to back up a little bit there. Half his health gone. Goodbye as he's knocked up. This is really bad. The ultimate to keep him in place, and BTM does find the kill to close, but at what cost, you ask, as Volcanoes is there and finds a great ultimate to keep Platoon locked up. He's going to be there with the rapid growth, but will he survive this? I do not know, because triple backflip is there. Fine, sure. Platoon goes down as well. This is a huge turnaround coming out for New Hampshire. Now Shauner's in trouble. Volcanoes on that one. They're going to try to find Foxloo, but triple backflip is in trouble himself. May die, does die to the Sion passive. And Foxloo, the only survivor. Will he live to tell the tale, or will Volcanoes find this one? It's going to be a close one, but Foxloo does go down. Volcanoes does live. And Lord have mercy, we find an ace coming out for New Hampshire.
This is nearly a completely different team on the side of Waterloo. That play just felt so forced. That they like hung around that bottom lane for so ungodly long that it allowed New Hampshire to perfectly counter it out. On top of that, your ADC is still not quite there yet. Mid lane only has one completed item. In top lane, yeah, we saw Shauner nearly half HP Breadsticks with one ultimate, not even hitting him directly. But there's still just not enough in the tanks. You need to go back to that more classic style of scaling competition that you worked out so well. Because Waterloo, if you're looking to be the top team in the region, This is definitely getting a little bit sloppy.
Yeah, it's a scary position to be in because now we talked about what the 2 kills meant for Shinzu. Now we have 4 kills for Shinzu, and it's not just on Shinzu that's a threat now. Dioker, with 2-0-5 himself, is going to be a huge threat. This is a very they put the new in New Hampshire, right? They came back a different team after the break, and they said, we are going to bring this one to them. And have done a stellar job so far. Foxloo in some trouble. Stopwatch goes down. Probably not going to make it out of this one alive, but the timing... Okay, a little something to work on, but Shinzu finds himself another one, 5-1-4, and now the mid lane tower is in some serious trouble without some intervention from Waterloo.
Was a little bit short on gold last time, but Shinzu, he has found the bank and he has found the items. Has the 2 swords strapped to the guns and is ready to hit everyone completely up. And triple backflip, he is starting to get into this game, has 2 items completed as well. And if this game keeps going at this pace, if there's still not enough time for Platoon and for Foxloo to really hit their late game forms, this one is going all New Hampshire at the moment.
I really like what I've seen out of triple backflip. I really do. This guy, you know, his Jarvan game was outstanding at the beginning, especially with the, you know, okay, don't find the first gank, run it back on the Kog'Maw the first time around, but and lost focus and lost a lot of energy on what we might have expected from him last time. This time it's been a completely different story. He had a strong start with his early invade, went hard farm mode, and has now decided just to play around the team in a way that's supporting them so well. Ooh, yeah, the ultimate comes down. Dioker's going to fire off those shots. Not going to get too much out of it. Some chunks out there, but Platoon's health bar being half is about the only casualty that they will find here, and the only thing that Waterloo really has to manage. He still has a big old support network, but the back, just for safety's sake, might mean this tower could be in trouble, especially keep an eye on top lane as that pushes in.
We'll have to see how New Hampshire is able to play around with their newfound poke composition, because with 3 of these members having extremely long ranges trying to siege out this tower, it's going to be all about whether they can land these skill shots or whether the counter engage comes on in. But Platoon's over in top lane, so I'm not super sure, unless Foxloo has amazing wave clear, which he does for now. They're going to be able to hold on to this tower.
Yeah, I think so. It really is the wave clear game, right? They have Ziggs, who is just such a nightmare to push into. Platoon as well going into the top side. That's going to be coming in there. Going to try to find him. He flashes under the tower. The tower doesn't have much health. Triple backflip says, I'll just take that. Then I'll take you. I am not worried about it. And that is the catalyst for what could be a potential fight in the mid lane. 80 carry down and no signs of coming back soon. Means after this next wave and a good roam down from backflip, things could spell trouble here for Waterloo.
Shyvana is online. Doesn't even need to go after the ADC. She goes after the tower first and then goes to kill Platoon. She is incredibly strong at the moment. Oh god, Foxloo, no!
Caught out, goodbye. Foxloo gonna go down. Waterloo losing their mid laner there, and that's not what we want. You feel like they're just starting to make some sloppy mistakes that we didn't see for the first time around because this game's just getting a little out of their hands. Whew.
A little under 5k, more like 4.3k in the hole currently. Things aren't looking too good for Waterloo, as they really just need to find some way to pump the brakes, shore up this game, and let it keep on scaling, because Platoon starting to get close to that second item right now, but his tanks just aren't where they need to be just yet. BTM, Shunner, none of them have the armor to really deal with the lethality coming out of the way for Shinzu just yet. And it goes without saying that going forward, MF will start to fall off a little bit. She's not going to be that super huge damage threat towards this late game, but for the time being and for the foreseeable future at the moment, things don't seem to be changing just yet.
It's kind of like there's a light at the end of the tunnel for the guys in Waterloo here, but New Hampshire is running a construction crew, and they're just like paving the tunnel a little further each time that they try to make their way out of it, and so it eventually will run out, but it's just yet, and they need to find some bandaging. They need to stop the bleeding. And here's where I want to see New Hampshire really turn up the heat, because there's one of two ways this goes now. You let them catch their breath, and then maybe they claw back into it, maybe they don't, and you still win. Or you just fire on all cylinders, turn up the pressure, and really don't even give them a chance to catch their breath. See New Hampshire start to execute on. They can't flounder around the mid lane too much. They can't be too pick oriented. Yeah, not gonna be the best one of the day, BTM. We're all gonna pretend we didn't see that.
Unlucky indeed, but as all this is happening, the Baron buff is available, and given they have a fairly fairly well-fed Shyvana on the team. It's not off the table. They can just rush that down almost immediately the next time they step away from this mid lane.
Yeah, and it seems like this mid lane's just been the focus of the last 3.5, 4 minutes here. Just no one's wanted to leave it. We did see Platoon. Yeah, this damage is insane, and it's so distance-oriented that Deoker is just able to slap down damage from locations, and it's really just kind of giving hell to the members of Waterloo here. Platoon in some trouble. Could be going down. The support network is there, but can he rely on them enough? He's going to actually get out of that one with the kiting. The Lulu shield will keep him alive. Now they're going to possibly turn this one around. Backflip could be in trouble, but it is BTM flashing out because its own life is more valuable than that kill. Shinzu is pressing the attack, and Shauner could potentially be the only casualty of this entire run. But for all of that, we saw no blood. No one went down, and the biggest takeaway is that Volcanoes is still in this top lane pressuring away, and the members of New Hampshire are able to rally and take away this mid lane tower.
I mean, that was a great disengage that they were able to get out without losing anyone, but Platoon is just constantly now being caught out. I really hope Anoi's coming back in this one, because if this goes to a game 3, Platoon just doesn't quite seem to be on that same level.
Yeah, you have to wonder what the dynamic here is with Platoon. Was this, hey, we're up in the series, so we'll give you a chance to prove yourself? Or was this some kind of sick drill instructor punishment for Annoy? How dare you give up a kill early? We're putting in the sub. Well, if that's the case, then I expect they're going to go back to their best and brightest here.
You know, hopefully...
I don't know how much of this you can really put on Platoon.
I don't think about too much. I think it's the execution of the bot lane especially, and the way that they just started grouping. Waterloo definitely have a lot more early elements than last game. They're not running a straight Juggernaut composition anymore. But they also aren't running something where you can just go toe-to-toe with a 2-item misfortune right off the bat. And you need to just play around your own strengths. And I guarantee you, Waterloo, coming off last game, felt really confident, thought that they could make some plays happen that they really couldn't. And they just played like they had the advantage. And unfortunately, when you do not, you need to respect, you need to play back. Dragon, don't even need any assistance. Shyvana will find that additional scaling. 3 Cloud Dragons. That is one fast team, and that is one fed Shyvana.
Yeah, and these are some members that you do not want to have that level of maneuverability. You're going to put that on a Shyvana? You're going to put that on Maokai and a Xerath? That is just so frustrating if you are Waterloo to have to deal with this New Hampshire team that is going to be quicker than light here, as they're just policing every single wave so well. They're keeping the ward pressure up, at least on the neutral zone of the map. They've not expanded too much into the enemy jungle, but it's just the opportunities that they have to act on that now.
Looking for an engage on Volcanoes. BTM would have to land a good ultimate. He's whiffed the last few times. Hopefully this one comes up a little bit differently.
Push game going on regardless of all of this, which is going to favor actually Shauner and the side of Waterloo just a little bit, because it is Shyvana that was split there without the teleport to get in, because they had Volcanoes with the 4-man roster, so not at all going to be something that actually comes into fruition or prolongs out. It's still going to be Shauner just pushing that out, and starts a Baron dance. They go on for some time, just how cautiously the side of New Hampshire have been pushing this advantage.
If there's one place on the map that I think New Hampshire could throw their lead, it is right here. And Waterloo, they're probably going to be spilling blood in the water.
Yeah, they do have the ward vision down on it. It is going to be the disengage, but the only thing that New Hampshire even took away from that was a little bit of damage right there on the chin from Baron Nashor. So
they might have the inside track on mid lane, though.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to actually be able to do this with how much the zoning potential they have. They're going to force everyone to run right around. BTM is here and says, no, you're not coming this way. Triple Backflip says, hang on, I got other ideas, and the respect is there. They do back off, and bot lane will bounce a little bit here for Waterloo, but by and large, this is both teams just waiting for something to break out here.
And this is where I do have to draw a little bit more concern towards the side of New Hampshire, because they very clearly have a massive advantage. They've got their members exactly where they want them. I mean, sure, triple backflip will probably just be getting a little bit better with time, but opposed to the enemy team, you're never really going to get that much better in straight-up team fighting stats. You got to start forcing these plays, and if that means starting up this Baron, you got to make that play happen. They're not going forward to get these vision games. They've only got the one Sightstone completed, plus the one yellow trinket up in the top lane, and right now, they just don't have control of the map, even though they have control of the currency.
it really does seem that way because their vision has been lapsing. They had it pretty strong around, like I said, the neutral zone of the map, the rivers, near the Baron, and especially in their own jungle. But as all of those have expired, you see very, very few wards at all on the side of New Hampshire here. They're going and they're putting some out, but that's not as deep as you want. Just that one on the brush coming up to the Baron on the backside of Red Brush, it's a good ward to have, and it's very safe. But you can't just throw that down and go like, well, we got vision, guys, no problem. Like, we're good, we're safe. You have to press the advantage a little bit there. Still a little skittish around this. I don't know if they expected to be in this position at this point, and now Volcano's actually having to use an ult that he could otherwise have very aggressively in defense, and that's not what you want.
Well, definitely not. Here comes BTM. He wants to go aggro now. Lands the ult.
Connect just on the end there, and it is going to be a nice 1-2 punch on the Breadsticks. They don't find all the damage they need, but Volcano's, in the time that he's needed to peel, has left his health bar very, very exposed, and Foxloo trying to get some around on Shinzu as well. The bot lane goes quite low, but is it low enough? And the answer is no. Now triple backflip trying to turn this one in. Platoon is his target, but he says, not this time. I'm ready to kite. I'm ready to kill it, and that's a huge pickup. BTM going to live by the skin of his teeth on that shield, and this is going to be favorable, actually, because we're at 45-second death timers. This is not what you want a time to lose your jungler around the Baron dance for 45 seconds.
And unfortunately, triple backflip, you look pretty big, but not big enough to 1v5 at the moment. But here's another thing right now, because I haven't actually been keeping my eye on this just yet this game, but look at those CS leads. Mid lane, 219 to 263. ADC, 180 to 271. Nearly flame horizoning the winning lane. This is exactly what hit hard onto the New Hampshire comp last game, and it's happening yet again, and this could be sapping their advantage little by little to the point where they can't fight anymore.
This is really bad news for New Hampshire. We talked about them needing to turn it on earlier. They did not pressure, and this could be the punishment. This could be their reckoning, but the health bars are low. Volcanoes will be the first casualty. Shauner not long to follow after him, though, will go down. Now Breadsticks is the one to find that kill, and not the one you really want to turn it to. But it's A-okay in terms of it has stopped this Baron. Is there. Both top laners dead for both sides. Yeah, this is insane. He's going to go over the wall, wants to find it. BTM on the back, and the nice chain of corruption to just stop things dead in its tracks. Not an ult that you want to have to blow his platoon, but that's probably one of the best ways that could have gone for him. And with triple backflip alive and BTM's health bar low, New Hampshire's actually not afraid to just start this Baron outright. They've got it about halfway down now.
Yeah, you for some reason have Platoon going up to the top side of the map to try to get someone out. But Baron is still going down about on the 4K mark. BTM, he's got a smite, he's got a flash.
Real trouble. Oh, this could be dangerous. Varus as well has so many targets just to snipe out of this one. They are backing off. No Baron Nashor in sight or hand. Foxloo finds the three-pointer yet again. Michael Jordan in here, just hitting all these shots.
Yeah, and that means that Waterloo are once again going to have priority on this Baron pit.
I hope they don't start it up right now. Do anybody any favors. Volcanoes is huge right now, and Shauner's coming in to try to find him. But this could be very, very crucial if he does go down. Volcanoes will be taken away. That is the reset, but they have to be careful. Look how low Sherb's health bar is. Look how low Sherb's health bar is. Look how squishy Foxloo is at the back, exposed to all of them. Going away. I think they have it here.
Sherb might just go down to the Baron debuff, but yeah, they're not going to have any contest to this one. And after what seemed like a century and a half of just baiting around the Baron, finally, it's going to be Waterloo that picks it up. And that gold lead is shrinking piece by piece.
Does come out to put the cap on what would otherwise be hype, so we will take a quick second to collect our thoughts, figure out what the cause of this is, and get us back into the game as soon as possible. Very important to note, still 20 seconds on Volcanoes. He will come up before the next fight happens. Baron buff, while it's going to give a lot of much-needed map pressure to the guys over in Waterloo, the fight potential is still very, very real from all of these damage threats on New Hampshire. So if they can just keep the map from getting too lopsided here, this one yet.
It's definitely a potential, but here's where I want to almost take a step back. And we were talking a bit about the CS differentials coming out across the board. Let's flip that over to the gold differentials and see what's happening, because even look at Platoon right now. He is on that third item. He's ready to start team fighting. Look in that top lane. You got about 2k gold lead going in favor for Shauner. This is where the big one is. 5k gold lead in favor of triple backflip. He's done an amazing job of farming. He's currently got the highest CS numbers in the game, but if you just keep going down that list, every single member except for breadsticks and triple backflip, every single member on the side for New Hampshire, while still having a lead, is losing in that gold game. And that basically means triple backflip is the advantage in this fight. If he is not able to find a big play going on here, he's not going to be able to contribute anything to the fight, and there is no tangible advantage left on the map for the rest of the squad, for the rest of New Hampshire.
We've seen in triple backflip, he can be a little bit overeager about this kind of thing. I mean, we saw him try to get that 1v5 on a little earlier to try to salvage what may have been going wrong. So if he's quick on the trigger in the wrong time and things don't line up well, that could spell disaster for New Hampshire. On the flip side of this, they have the tools they need. They still have a 2k gold lead. They have every dragon that's come up, 2 kills in the majority of towers. So to say they're behind in any aspect is just factually incorrect at this point. While the momentum is certainly in favor of Waterloo at this point, New Hampshire still have it on paper.
Unfortunately, paper will only get you so far, as basically it's about how far you can throw it or right on it. There still needs to be a lot of side wave control, and that's the advantage New Hampshire can start playing around with even more. Triple backflip, while he definitely contributes quite a bit in fights, is an amazing split pusher at this point. As long as there's not a super important side objective up, you can leverage that along with your other 3 members being this great long-range poke siege combination. Start to play around that and move around the map, but still having a Baron buff up and available, and not even available, but up and on the side for Waterloo, it just makes that so hard. And even the poke synergy and the poke core composition are going to have a long time and a lot of difficulty actually making that these waves start pushing in their favor. And it is official, there is a flame horizon. There are 2 flame horizons in this game, and I wouldn't shock to see even more.
Oh my goodness, it's just gotten that extreme.
Oh yeah.
I will say for this, for the side wave control, that the big advantage in the side waves going over to New Hampshire, one of the best things you can do to just catch your breath on side wave control is have a Baron buff, right? Then your split pusher becomes about the equivalent of 2 split pushers, triple backflip actually. Going in, BTM going to be the focus of this one, going to get knocked up, rooted, and they're throwing everything on him, but they may just come out with something yet. It's a lot of defensive spells. Sure did the best to keep that one alive, but now it's a possible turnaround as Breadsticks is in trouble. Very squishy member right on the front line, and that is going to be Volcanoes trying to come in. Backwood gets the kill on a BTM. They finally do find that one around, but Shinzu very low. Nobody on the side of New Hampshire is healthy, and the downtown shot platoon finds it, rampaging his way back into this game and setting up a very nice trade. It will be BTM gone down, but Volcano's a much bigger target when there's no neutral objectives on the map to worry about, and the teleport coming in from Shawner means this is likely not going to stop at just 1 tower.
Yeah, they're still pressing on that mid and that top lane tower. Most likely will at least be 1 more down on that top side, but that looked like a fight that very easily could have gone wrong for Waterloo. That entire time, half the team decided to fight, the other half, which was Foxloo basically, stayed on that mid lane tower. He didn't roam up to join the fight, and if maybe 1 or 2 more things had landed on the side for New Hampshire, they could have just wiped that fight completely. But good disciplined play, and most importantly, Platoon going super aggro at the end, playing so confidently, was able just to turn it back around in their favor and enable these towers just to go on over. And the gold lead finally is in favor for the side of Waterloo.
Them a while, but they finally clutched it back. We started this conversation at a score in towers of 5-1 favoring New Hampshire. Now it's only 5-4, and pings have come down on those 2 bot side towers from the remaining members of Waterloo, that this is now obviously a very clear target and a very big way to get themselves the advantage on the map when it comes to towers. I like that they're pressing their ward line 2 here. They've got wards everywhere they're going. That's something that New Hampshire has not been keeping up on. And it's a really big risk now as we get down into this bottom lane.
Oh yeah, insanely big. Well, still the biggest thing going in favor for New Hampshire has to be triple backflip. He's closing down those full ends, and they're going to go in once again.
They want it. It's twice they've attacked BTM as their primary target. They blew a lot for him the first time. This time they're just going to chip away a little bit. I think they learned the better of their lesson, but they need to find some way to actualize, because that's another tower down 5-5.
And they're looking to run this one all the way back, because I see no reason why they can't just run this one all the way into the base at this point. Just find one gold, and they can find the fight.
that was so important on the defensive start of this game, coming out of Foxloo and coming out of Platoon, is now so critical in keeping down and oppressing the waves of New Hampshire here. We are keeping them absolutely on the back foot. We are keeping them very well away from their own minions, and it's already net the side of Waterloo. One tower, we'll see. It looks like a second is all but destined to come here, and only triple backflip here on the wings could possibly be the answer for unlocking this next chapter in New Hampshire's return to glory.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of distance cover, but no better place to start.
Easy route.
Oh yeah. It looks like still everyone's just kind of hanging out here. Baron's gonna be up in the next minute 20, and honestly, I see no reason why this stops and why Waterloo does not let up until that Baron comes up. So, ladies and gentlemen, button those seatbelts, grab those snacks, because we might be here for a little while.
No kidding. The saving grace right now. Ooh, the ult does find it, but it's 2 now blown onto Volcanoes. He is the tankiest member, and he throws out the ult of his own. Volcanoes is going to try to get the damage down here, and BTM's taking it, but it is the turret finally found that was Fox.
Look at that mid lane.
Yeah, I know, turning it around. That's insane. Triple backflips just charging this one down. Nobody died, keep in mind. So now the goal is to delay the backs. The side of New Hampshire wants to keep anyone from getting back to base. The teleport, though, from Ziggs, very crucial. We touched on it in the early game. Will reset this mid lane, possibly give some time to reset in top as well, and that could mean the advantage swinging very hard into the favor of Waterloo.
Yeah, even though the Baron's going to be in the next 30 seconds, and there's no forward vision set up really from either side. Probably the closest one on the map is going to have to be for the side of Waterloo. As yeah, they've got 1 or 2 wards in there. They've got a TP ward available, even though they don't have TPs on the map at the moment. Still coming back on up. But also, New Hampshire, who has inside track, who has the mid lane priority, isn't there. Dragon also will be up, and that will be the Infernal Dragon with 4 Elemental Drakes in the pockets for New Hampshire. So that's a terrifying proposition if you're over on Waterloo right now.
I want to take that Elder Dragon away instantaneously. It's not the biggest buff for them in the world at this stage in the game, but what it is the biggest buff denial for the opposing team of New Hampshire. So they want to take this one out. They don't even have the mountain to help them take it quickly, so it is going to be very, very tense on the way that it's going to be played out by New Hampshire. Volcanoes wants to get in there. He's not afraid of this one. In fact, Platoon may be in a little bit of trouble, but he's kiting it out really nice. He does get snared up by the ultimate. Doesn't matter. The members of New Hampshire are not ready to capitalize just yet. And in this tug of war, it looks like it will go over. Yes, to Waterloo. They take that one out and away, and it will be denied. So no members of New Hampshire can take away on that dragon. And the reset here.
That was a really awkward split-up play there. Triple back, because he's going to try to get something on back, but Shauner, he's just too tanky right now.
It's gotten to a point where you really can't split push too well as triple backflip just by yourself, because Shauner is the answer there, and now he's delayed enough time for Platoon to come up and take an easy kill away. Foxloo and Sherb pretty low, but everyone should be able to reset here on the side of Waterloo and prep out now for this Baron, because with triple backflip dead for over a minute, 50 seconds only now, very highly valued target.
Without a doubt, they can easily turn onto this Baron with very little fear. Because, yeah, once again, that is 16k gold dead, basically. Not going to be around for the next fight. And if you fight that 5v4, I'd say 99 times out of 100, as long as you don't miss position horribly, Waterloo's going to win that nearly every time.
Yeah, we saw how well just Shauner was able to do against triple backflip and just weather that storm. Now add the tanky Shyvana, now add, not the Shyvana, I'm sorry, the Sejuani, add the rest of the members of this team, and it gets to be interesting. Volcanoes is going to start this one in, but it's a huge shutdown. The AD carry dead before the fight even starts. Foxloo, 3-pointers. Michael Jordan, yet again, says no chance of this one, and he may very well have just sealed the game in his team's favor.
And that, once again, is going to mean a 5v4 situation going in a favor for Waterloo, as they have both the Baron and the Elder Dragon. Oh, this game in this base might not be long for this world.
Come down just as a Hail Mary, but look at that one. Not going to happen. Platoon takes away onto Breadsticks. He goes down and crumbles out of that one. No Olive Garden Unlimited basket for Breadsticks this time. Triple backflip, the tankiest member now gone out and away. Volcanoes, goodbye. Will not survive this one. The Xerath ult is all but a formality at this point. Says, what stats can I pass? Can I get Foxloo? The answer is yes, actually. Takes him down, but it is a hollow Pyrrhic victory in this regard, as he will trade his own life away for it. And it took some time, ladies and gentlemen. It was a long, hard well-fought road, but at the end of the day, it is the 2-0 going over in favor of Waterloo in a 42-minute turnaround from what was an incredible game of League of Legends.
Yeah, that was a lot of League, to say the least. And the shocking part was just how much they were able to get on back. It looked like maybe the end of days there for Waterloo, as they just seemed to almost throw most of their advantages in that early game. But boy, they dug deep. They knew exactly how to come back into that one. They drafted the competition around the scaling. Boy, they made it work. Also, Platoon, it almost looked like a different player in that second half of the game. He just came out a lot more confident and a lot more powerful. Once he got those 3 items, he was unstoppable.
Ooh, absolutely. Just a force to be reckoned with. Returned, I'll tell you this, my friend. I feel very bad for whatever 1-1 team now has to go up against this New Hampshire squad, because these guys turned it on so much against Waterloo, who's a team that we know to be just outstanding. And to turn on that level of heat and bring it into to such a titan makes me feel very, very nervous if I'm another 1-1 guy that gets matched up in the bracket against them.
Yeah, and that's made even more terrifying because now that they're at that 1-1 record, the best that they can do is 5-1, and that is the baseline for making it into the playoffs. So New Hampshire, they're still looking at the playoff picture with the possibility and with a dream in their hearts, but it's got to be a hard-fought season after this. Definitely a lot of improvements can be made, but there's definitely those glimmers of light, and I wouldn't be too shocked to see them making that last-second reach for that postseason.
And this is the kind of loss, too, if you're New Hampshire, that you can take away and say, you know what, this sucks. Everybody hates losing, obviously. We're all League of Legends players at heart. We all know how bad it is to just lose. But this is going to be one of the best possible losses that you can take, because if they don't learn so much from this, and if they don't have so much to take away to benefit their eventual growth, then they're doing something wrong. But I think the guys at New Hampshire are going to come away with this one a much more ferocious team. And I would love to see a rematch of this way down the line in the season as we do get to post.
Calling it right now, New Hampshire Teemo Cup champions, easy peasy. Without a doubt.
I would love it.
Teemo Cup champion. Definitely not out of the range of possibilities just yet. Still they're looking at the playoffs with potential in their eyes. But Waterloo squad definitely got a little bit too cocky in game number 2. But at their best, they can run with the best of the best.
I agree. We talked about their scaling composition. We said in the first game they didn't even need to rely on the fact that they scaled. The second game, they certainly did need to rely on it, but they did it with style. They just said, that's fine. We need to scale. We're going to scale. We're going to pump the brakes. Came off of outstanding shot calling from whomever's making this decision, but outstanding play mostly from Platoon and Foxloo. Keep in mind, we were leveling so much criticism onto Platoon at the early points of this game. He finished 10-4-4 with just shy of 400 CS and, albeit barely, the most in the game, taking the crown away from triple backflip. So he definitely knew when to slow the game down and scale as need be.
Yeah, it almost kind of looked like the Cloud9 Meteos meme from Worlds, to kind of learn the champion as it went along. Start off maybe not so great, but end the game with the game-winning play. I mean, he made it work, Platoon, especially towards that Baron buff at the top side, like flashing on forwards to solidify those extra kills. Just looked to be playing out of his mind by the end. So, I mean, sorry for the flame at the beginning, but definitely proved himself quite worthy. And yeah, I'm super excited to see where this Waterloo team does go and who they're going to get matched up with next. Because if they keep on this route, there might be a new crown to put on top of their heads if they can start fighting like Toronto for that power vacuum that's almost formed now in this Eastern Division.
Yeah, no, the East definitely becoming a much, much tighter bracket to play out. The good news is we've got more League of Legends action to come this weekend. So if you thought of this, you thought it was awesome, you had a great time, don't worry, because we got 2 runs to make tomorrow. And I know Joshua Feka's Quest is excited about one of those returned. I believe you're on that game with him, are you not?
Yeah, yes, I am. I believe I am.
Okay, well, I'm very excited to see that one happen tomorrow. That is going to close us out for the day. Before we do go, want to give, again, another shout-out, a little bit of information, say thank you to Twitch, our beloved partner. Nothing but gratitude for the largest stream platform in gaming to support collegiate esports, PAX East-West, many more events. CSL wouldn't be what it is today without their support. If you want to join our Discord community, just hit _Discord in the chat. That'll get you all the information you need to know. You can find us at Twitter and Facebook with the respective website URLs /C Star League. That's C Star League. and you'll get everything you need to know. If you liked the cast you heard today from myself and Returned, I am Kyle Corvus Crow. That is Stephen Return Johnson. Give us a follow on Twitter. Our handle should be down there somewhere for all you lovely folks at home to see. We thank you so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah.